have a running theory about the quality of movies versus the enjoyment you get out of them, right? And it kind of runs on like an inverted bell graph where the x-axis is the quality of the film and the y-axis is how much enjoyment you get out of it. You know, you start with the high quality stuff, your Tarantino, your Christopher Nolan's, you know, that tier of quality, and the enjoyment is high. But then as you sort of slump into the middle, you get stuff like Justice League, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, you know. I also think a lot of modern kids movies fall into this as well, where they're not horrible quality, but they're not enjoyable to watch. You know, they're just like, they're slogs to get through, you know? But then at the other end, when you go all the way to the other side, you get stuff like your Neil Breen's, your The Room, Trolls 2, you know, horrible quality, you know, just the worst writing, audio is off and off, just horrible shooting conditions, everything. But they're funny as fuck and they're enjoyable to watch, right? We're not talking about those kinds of movies today, right? This goes beyond that side of movies, right? This is a very interesting movie, okay? It deserves to be studied, to try and understand the psyche behind the filmmaking and even what they're trying to say in the movie, even what the plot is difficult to understand. So today I present to you Things, 1989. I've seen this movie 2 times. Once a year ago, once about 2 days ago, and then I skipped through it a bunch trying to write this. So about 2.5 times I've seen this, you know, probably even like 2 2/3. But so you would think that I'm an expert on it, but in all the times I've watched and all the clips I've seen, I still have struggles understanding what is happening. So I want to walk you through it so that you can understand the frustration that I feel watching this thing. The thing is shot on VHS grade cameras, so it looks like ass. You can hardly tell what's happening. It's so, I don't even know, grainy? Not even, it's just like discolored and dark and hard to see. I would try and give you a brief plot synopsis, but honestly, it would just make you more confused going into it. Okay, enough dilly-dallying. I just have to start talking about it. Let's jump right in. I'm just going to let the first couple seconds play because I think that it is very telling of the film we're about to watch. That's the first 25 seconds of the film, right? We've got a weird fucking logo, our title screen, and then we just cut to a random scene. There's no context, there's no establishing shot, we're just in the scene. The first scene is really weird and makes no sense, but I've seen it multiple times, so I'm going to try my best to explain it. Also, it's the only scene in the movie that has nudity in it, so I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it so that YouTube doesn't shoot me out back. So basically, we just cut to some girl wearing a devil mask. Nice. She's in some weird looking basement. Guy comes in and starts yelling about how, I want you to have my baby. I want you to have my baby. You're so sexy. I want you to have my baby. To which the lady in the devil mask responds by just taking off her clothes. He's like feeling her up and being like, I want you to have my baby, and just saying all this weird fucking shit. So then she decides to open up a weird shower that's in this basement, which it doesn't even look like a shower. It's just a curtain in the basement. But so she's like, no, I'm not taking a shower. I've already had your baby. And she pulls out a baby carriage. We don't see the baby, but she pulls out a little baby carrier thing, shows it to the guy, to which the guy responds, so that's pretty cool. And then just some thing jumps out, bites his hand, and he wakes up. It was all a dream. What does any of that mean? We don't know. Does the movie explain it? Not really. But so I'm just going to let a little piece of this scene after he wakes up play so that you can hear the music, because stuff like this is playing constantly throughout the movie, and it honestly makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like if I was an insane person, this would be the music that would be running through my head 24/7. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but the music is like, it just like pierces my brain and just makes it hard to think, and it feels like I'm just slowly slipping into insanity at all. I don't like it. So we're with this guy for a couple minutes after he wakes up. He walks around his house. He gets some pills for his wife and he brings them to her. And we find out that something's wrong with her. We don't know what yet, which I guess is suspense for the movie later on.
I brought you some of these to help you ease the pain.
Thanks. I hope they work. I feel like I'm gonna die.
So after this, we cut to our second title card. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 2 title cards in 5 minutes. Some movies put one right up front and right at the end. Some people have their little opening and then their titles card. But this movie, title card, opening sequence, title card. After the title card, we get our credits, which I don't have anything to say. It's just weird driving footage set to weird music. For those who don't know, this movie was made by a man named Barry J. Gillis, who I don't know much about, but I know that he's made quite a few movies like this, and I'm actually trying to get kind of into his work because horrible, just awful filmmaking. Barry J. Gillis also acts in the movie, and so when his name comes up in the credits, of course, he gets a little stinger. I don't know what that noise means or what that's... I guess it's just because he's cool. His name gets a little noise afterwards. Nobody else's names get that. We don't hear that noise anywhere else in the title sequence. It's just randomly, there's just a... that. We cut to 2 of our main characters, whose names are... Fred and Dawn. Dawn is Barry J. Gillis. Fred... don't know who that actor is. Weird. But so we cut to them and they are rocking up at the character who we saw earlier's house. I'm telling you that because the movie doesn't. The movie doesn't let you know that this is his house they're rolling up to. In fact, I don't even think we knew that character's name before now, but I'm going to tell you, his name is Doug. It's never explained whether Doug owns this house, is renting this house, or it's like his vacation home that he owns and rents to other people. It's never explained. But so after this is when we get our first news section, which the news sections are just top notch, just the best. So just randomly in the movie, we'll cut to this lady.
Hi, and welcome to TV9 News. I'm Amber Lynn.
For those of you who don't know, this is famous 80s porn actress Amber Lynn. Now, it's not crazy for, B movies of the 80s to have a porn star in their movie. That's pretty normal, because then you can put that on the cover and say, oh, we got this porn star, and it raises sales, and it's also, it makes people think that your movie's going to be edgy and might actually be good because you got some real talent in there, It's typical exploitation stuff. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but it's very clear, and I read the trivia for this, so I know, but I already knew this before because you can just tell. It's very clear that they shot all of her scenes after the movie was completed and just inserted them in to pad the runtime and so that they could say there's a porn star in the movie. That's good.
We will speak briefly with the leader of the Soviet Union concerning topics of the George Bush administration and the threat of nuclear war.
So we cut back to 2 of our main characters standing on the porch of this house. Dawn and Fred, almost forgot their names for a second, are standing on the porch and they're knocking and they're calling for Doug. And Doug never lets them in. So they just go in and Doug doesn't come out and greet them or anything. They just go in and immediately just start going through his shit. Like literally the first thing they do is they walk in and they're like, fuck, I need a beer. So they go and they check the freezer.
We can drink all we want.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm his brother. I'm entitled to a few privileges, don't you think?
All right.
And so, of course, when they open the freezer, they don't find beer. They find, obviously, a tape recorder and a little devil book.
A recorder in the freezer.
But after making some Evil Dead references and, chilling out to some sick beats.
Hey, let's try this thing.
That guy's pretty strange.
Don starts to get a little toasty, so he decides to take off his jacket and store it in the only logical place he can think to store it. The freezer.
It's getting kind of hot in here. Throw this in the freezer.
Storage, maybe.
Yep. This man puts his coat in the freezer. I have so many questions about this. Is this just supposed to be a weird thing in the movie? Is this something Barry J. Gillis thinks people actually do? Maybe it is a thing that people actually do. Is this a Midwestern thing? I don't know. Why? Why do they call it that? Why do some people put their jackets in the freezer? Touch your clothes. Oh, keeps them from getting stinky. Okay. But hey, we've had literally no plot progression for the past 5 minutes, so it's time to cut to more news footage.
A medical discovery by the world-renowned Dr. Lucas of Grizzly Flats. Scientists and surgeons alike are very excited.
Okay, so this time the news is hard to understand and it makes no sense, and really none of the news footage matters, but they do bring up the name. I hear upon repeat views, and I've heard that they bring up the name Dr. Lucas, who is kind of involved in the story. So we cut to him. We don't know that this is him. I guess we're supposed to assume because they were just talking about him, but we cut to some random scientist who is Dr. Lucas. We find out later in the movie that is Dr. Lucas, and he's doing some weird experiments on this half-dead guy. He like pulls some shit out of his arm. He pulls his eyeball out for some reason, and then he cuts off his arm and his head, and then his assistants just carry him away. And honestly, the only thing decent about the scene is that, you know, it looks like Dr. Lucas is having fun. We then got back to our boys, Don and Fred, who are still just exploring the house and haven't seen Doug at all. And they don't think that that's weird and don't think to be like, hey, Doug, you in here? Or go and check any rooms or anything. They're just fucking in this guy's house. But so we are treated to Fred saying the line.
Hey, where'd he steal his chair from?
He probably just owns a chair. Probably just owns a chair. Is that crazy? Is that crazy that I'm sitting in a chair. I didn't steal this. I kind of stole this chair. It was my dad's chair and I took it. Okay, maybe Fred's onto something. In this scene, we are also treated to the main theme of the movie, which is honestly kind of a bop, and I personally kind of like it. In the scene, we also find out that Doug, I guess, is just friends with the Queen of England because Don says,
That particular painting, if I'm not mistaken, was given to him by the Queen of England.
I don't know what the implications of that are, but hey, that's pretty cool. Hold on, wait. I just thought about this as I was recording this and as I was saying this. If Doug knows the Queen of England and she's like giving him paintings, one, why is the house they're staying in so shit? And two, why is it crazy that he owns a chair? At this point, I would also like to remind you that we are 20 minutes into this movie and literally nothing has happened. I'm going to play a sound for you from the movie, and I want you guys in the comments below to try and guess what you think it is. So let's hear it. If you guessed changing the channel on a TV, you would be right. Imagine every time you changed the channel on your TV, it made that fucking sound. Imagine if when you switched inputs, so you're switching from your fucking, I don't know, Roku to Xbox, and you just... Every time. What a nightmare. But so I guess the TV is a little too loud because Doug comes out and yells at them saying, Susan's trying to rest. Shut the fuck up. So they continue speaking at a normal volume and turn off the TV. I'd also like to note that the only character thing that I know about Doug is that, one, he has a wife, and two, he's the gassiest man on planet Earth. But so Doug's a good host, so of course he makes everyone a sandwich, and we're treated to do a little scene where, you know, it's just the boys having a sandwich, you know, guys being dudes, you know? After a little sandwich break, the gang decides to go and check on Susan. And, she's doing just peachy. Yeah, so Susan's fucking dead. I guess she was pregnant with something, a thing. The thing's 1989. That's why it's called that. Anyways, I guess she was pregnant with that, and it, like the alien, burst out of her belly. And ate her? I don't know. She's dead. News time! This time, it has literally nothing to do with anything and isn't even worth mentioning. This is also where we get a big exposition dump from Doug, and I'll try and summarize here. So, Doug and Susan couldn't have kids. They tried many times, but they couldn't, so they went to this guy, Dr. Lucas. So they went to Dr. Lucas to try and get her artificially impregnated, and I guess he just put a thing in her, and it burst out and killed her. So what was the point of the tape in the fridge? Because if it's not supernatural or a demon situation like it is in Evil Dead, then he just had a weird tape in the freezer. It wasn't like, it didn't have a purpose. It was just there. After talking about literally nothing for about 3 minutes, the lights go out, but Doug's okay with it because he knows the exosystems in this place.
It's a schizoid anyway.
And in case that was just a little too much plot for you, we cut back to news once again. This time, the information we get directly contradicts what we've seen on screen so far. She tells us that Dawn and Fred have been reported missing for 14 days, which directly contradicts what we've seen, which is that they've only been there a night, unless there's some sort of time interrelation happening, or maybe they're in a different dimension, or maybe the implication is that they die, and they're just telling us in the middle of the movie, or what?
What the fuck? Where's Fred? I think he went into the third, fourth, and fifth dimension.
It looks like you got sucked into that mouse hall.
Don't worry if you're confused, so are the filmmakers, right? Let me try and explain what just happened. So a little bit of blood appears on Doug's shirt, drips down, as we can see, and then Fred is gone, and they just assume that he disappeared into another dimension, and they never discuss it again. So we just keep on rolling, with this crack pace plot. I think that they were shooting this movie over a weekend, and maybe the shoot went on longer than they thought, because often movies do. It's a lot of work to make a movie. But so Fred had to go to work on Monday, but Dawn and Doug didn't, so they just said, you know what? We'll just write Fred out of the movie. Like, why is the character in the movie? His exodus isn't scary. They barely even mention it in the rest of the movie, and it's clear that they just were like, oh shit, he's not here. How are we going to explain that he's not here? We'll just have a scene where he disappears, and then we will not mention it again. And they don't. The blood on Doug's shirt leads him to take it off, which honestly kind of improves the movie. Sorry, I got distracted by the plot. Anyways, they think about going into the basement to try and replace the fuses, but they hear a couple weird noises down there and decide that there are things down there.
Wait.
Let's tackle this right now.
No. We'll change the fuses later. It's too dangerous now.
So they just decide to go back to the kitchen and keep chilling, which has been just 90% of the movie so far. Dawn finds some booze in the cabinet, and Doug just has a mental breakdown as his friend just teleported into another dimension and his wife died. Also, the cabin or house he owns or is renting is infested with things. But of course, Dawn, being the great man that he is, decides that he's going to do the completely natural thing and just dump the booze on Doug's head. I'm almost certain that this was improv. I'm almost certain that Doug was just supposed to have a mental breakdown while Dawn drinks, and then Barry J. Gillis decided, I should dump booze on his head. Which just raises so many questions for me. Like, does Barry J. Gillis think that that's normal? Does he think that that's what you're supposed to do when someone's having a mental breakdown? Does he think that that's funny? What? Honestly, that's literally me the whole movie. Is just, what? I'm just baffled. I can't explain or even start to understand what's happening in the movie, Dawn has to use the restroom, so they decide to take a little trip to the bathroom with the flashlight, but they left the flashlight on the stove, and when they go to grab it, they're greeted with a little surprise.
Got him real good.
Dawn kills the first creature easily, which just, makes them feel really intimidating. You want the monsters in the movie to feel intimidating, which is why you want your character to just immediately kill it with little to no effort or damage taken to himself. But so after this, But so after this, Don gets the flashlight back and we're treated to some gunk cleaning ASMR. They then go to the bathroom and shine a flashlight all over it looking for any of the creatures, and it goes on for way too long, and we don't see anything. Dawn goes in there, they close the door, and then we're treated to this scene. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. Also, Doug put on a shirt. Which just makes the movie 10 times worse. After using the bathroom, they decide that it's time to finally go down into the basement and replace the fuses. There's clearly supposed to be a lot of things in the basement, but they only have like 4 puppets, so their option, instead of trying to show a couple and then cut to another angle where there's a couple, is just not to show them, like at all. But so one ends up jumping on Doug, and Don, being the genius that he is, instead of beating the creature, decides to beat the opposite side of Doug's neck, to which my thought was, oh, fuck, Don just killed that guy. That guy's fucking dead. Look, if somebody hit me with a mallet in the neck like 5 times, as hard as they could, I would die. I'm confident in that. But he doesn't, because Doug is built different. Don then insults Doug for getting in the way, replaces the fuses, and carries him up the stairs. Doug immediately gets his hand bitten off, or his fingers, to which Don has the totally appropriate response of saying, I have to cauterize it with this little flimsy piece of cardboard.
I'm gonna have to cauterize this. I have to mend your hand together. This is gonna hurt me a lot more than it's gonna hurt you.
Of course this doesn't fucking work, and Doug dies. This is the part in most comedy horror or action horror where our character decides to go into the final showdown. You know, they're preparing for the fight, you know? But so, what does Barry J. Gillis get, right? What does Don get? You know what? Badass weapon. You know, maybe you know what? Honestly, if he kept that mallet, that'd be kind of cool. He says, I killed my friend with this, and now I'm going to kill you with it. But of course, that's not what he gets. He gets a plug-in, not even battery, a plug-in drill, which it's just going to come unplugged. Come on, Don. Like, it's going to get unplugged, you fucking moron. But this doesn't stop Doug from just drilling the air. Seriously, there's like 3 minutes in this movie where he's just drilling the air. I think it's supposed to be that he's drilling the things. It does not come across as that at all. It just looks like he's drilling the fucking air, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. But so, of course, the thing comes unplugged and it won't plug back, or the thing is broken or something. But I just want to say, booyah, I called it. Fuck you, Don. But so, whoa, you're thinking, slow down. Too much is happening. Fred's gone. Doug's gone. Don's got a drill? This is too much. Don't worry. It's news time.
A New Jersey woman who gave police a tip earlier on in the day has been deemed psychologically insane by the staff at St. Mary's Hospital in New York.
We learn nothing. And we immediately cut back to Don asleep on the couch and a chainsaw revving, which is kind of cool. Don sees all these creatures beside him, and you're probably thinking, whoa, where's the chainsaw coming from? Is there some who's got a chainsaw? It's our boy Fred. He's back. He's back from another dimension, and you're thinking, I wonder what adventure Fred's been on. Fred got blood on Doug's shirt, has been in another dimension, and has a chainsaw now. I want to know what's going on. But do they ask him? Does he tell? No. We just move on, and 5 minutes later, Fred goes into a room, and we hear him die, and it goes on for an insanely long amount of time.
Get out of there, Fred! Get out! You're surely gonna die! Get out! Ah!
At this point, Dr. Lucas shows up under the guise of trying to check on Susan, his patient, which makes sense. And Don informs him that everyone in the house except him is dead, and there are things everywhere. To which Dr. Lucas' response is to gaslight him into thinking he killed them himself or something. But some of the lines that he says, where he's like, gruesome, intense, The way he says them, the way it's delivered is so fucking funny that I'm genuinely considering clipping the audio and using it as like my Twitch notification sounds. I just think that would be so fucking funny.
First off, take a look at this door.
Oh God, what a horrible mess. This is ghastly, brutal, horrible, insane.
Dr. Lucas then gets attacked by one of the things, and Don just books it out of the house, right? He just starts running through the woods, which they should have done from the beginning. They should have done that from the get-go, but whatever. He's running and running, running and running until he meets this guy who awkwardly pulls him up on this bridge, and there's an awkward cut because you can tell the guy can't do it, but clearly Don could have just ran up the bank. Why didn't he? It makes no sense. So anyways, he meets this guy and he's like, whoa, what's going on, buddy? He's like, I need help. And they start walking and walking and walking until they reach the guy's car, at which point Don thinks to himself, fuck, what if this was a dream? And you know what? He was right, it was. So all that running and walking that we were just forced to sit through, pointless. Pointless. Didn't even happen. Don's just going insane in the cabin. We cut to credits, to which we are greeted with this title. You have just experienced things. Which, honestly, is just... It perfectly explains what it's like watching this movie, because it isn't a viewing, it's an experience, you know? And, like, as much as I've described it to you, you're not going to know what it's like until you experience it for yourself, you know? But so anyways, that was Things, 1989. I really enjoyed making this. It was a lot of fun watching it and writing about it. I just, you know, upon re-reviewing it, I knew I had to make a video on it. If you guys like this, please, you know, like the video, leave a comment letting me know. And now that I actually have a proper setup, you know, I'd like to do more stuff like this, you know, where it's just me talking to the camera about things that I'm interested in or think are bad or whatever. If you have movie suggestions, bad movies that you want me to watch or want me to talk about, leave those below too. I'm very curious in all those. I just want to let everybody know that I also stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I try and start streaming around 9 p.m. I play a lot of COD, some Minecraft, whatever. You know, it varies day to day, honestly. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you there. Again, if you want to leave a like, subscribe, comment, any of that helps the channel out tremendously. I would appreciate it. But honestly, after watching that, I really feel like
You got yourself in a tailspin. It's going round and going down. You got yourself in a tailspin.